All right, hello. Welcome to Take a Knee with Mike and JD. I am JD, and with me is my co-host Mike.
G'day everyone.
How you doing today?
Doing good, mate. Pretty excited about this. First episode. I hope I hope it's kind of well received in that. But I think it's good to kind of have a bit of a chat about everything that's happening in the NFL, and I think it adds a bit more excitement, to the season coming
Yeah,
up.
definitely. Over the last few days, I would imagine it'd be opposite for us, but it gets colder as the NFL season starts. So when it starts to sort of get colder out and brisk, you kind of have that excitement, like okay, every weekend, I'm gonna have football to watch all week and stuff like that. So going through and getting ready for this, kind of has me more pumped than usual for the season to start in a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, once you kind of get into your preseason games, especially like the third preseason game, like it starts to feel a bit more real. Like I really struggle to get excited during the off season for, and perhaps especially doing this, and if we continue doing this, like probably be a bit more excited because there's stuff to talk about there. But there's only there's only so much excitement you can get for another one. This rookie's standing out, and this guy's had his best preseason ever, and that, like, it's always the same stuff. But once you get into kind of your preseason games and you start to see everything take shape, it gets pretty exciting. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, after the Super Bowl ends, really until preseason starts, the only thing you sort of have looking forward to is the draft. And, that's just a few hours of like, okay, well, what is your team going to do in April? And then you have to wait another 4.5 months for the actual season to start. So,
Exactly, and as a Packers fan, pretty much whenever the off season arrives, it's basically it's just going to be the media having to cry about something Rodgers has done again. Oh, he's taken hallucinogenics. Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, I'm just happy we haven't had another retirement talk this off season.
right.
So yeah, no, it's actually been a comparatively good off season from a Packers point of view so far.
Yeah, especially for the Steelers, there hasn't really been that much drama. So there's actually been more excitement about this season because of a lot of the moves they made. But that we could probably get into that a little bit later in the video. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the AFC. We're going to go division by division and talk about who do we think is going to win the division, how everybody's going to shape up, and everything like that. So we're going to start with the AFC East. So that obviously has Buffalo, New England, Miami, and the New York Jets in it. So after thinking about it, how do you think this division's going to shape up?
So I think this is, out of all the divisions, this is relatively clear cut for me. Like, I think the Bills win it without a doubt. I mean, they've just been building nicely. I think Josh Allen is there again, and he's just gonna get better. I'm a big Josh Allen fan, actually, but I just don't think they got a great deal of competition in there. I mean, I think the Patriots, they're not a great team, on paper. I'm not a big Mac Jones fan, but you just know that they're not going to tank. They're not going to go badly,
No.
and they're always going to find a way. So I've actually got them coming in second. In there, I just think they'll piece together enough wins. You know what I mean? Like they will find a way. They'll plan around their deficiencies. And then the Jets are going to still not be great. I am very sorry to all Jets fans, but I can't see any great improvement there. I think they'll pick up a few extra games, but not enough. And then yeah, obviously Dolphins coming in third there. I am denied between the Dolphins and the Patriots maybe switching spots, but I think there's too much unknown there. I don't think Tua's going to have a great year. So that's kind of how I see the East shaping up. What about yourself?
Yeah, so we kind of how you said flipping the Dolphins and Patriots. So that's basically how I have the division going too. So I do have Buffalo like you winning this division. I think it's their division for the next few years. that they should be the favorite, at least probably over the next 3 or 4 years every year to win it. Depending on, obviously you can't really foresee injuries or stuff like that. But Josh Allen has continued to get better every season he's played. And as long as he continues to get more weapons, that offense should be really good. I think they really need to get a stronger running back room, because a lot of the times, as Josh Allen gets older here, I don't think the Bills want him running as much as he does. It's obviously great to have a mobile quarterback to get out of the pocket if it breaks down and extend the play. But, if he's out there taking hits, and I know he's a big guy, but I think they want Josh Allen taking less hits in the open field. So, they did just spend a second-round pick this year on a running back. They do have Devin Singletary. But like you said, I do have the Bills win. I have them probably winning about 12-ish games, so around the same-ish wins from last year. And then after that, I actually do have the Dolphins second. And I kind of share the same opinion with you, where it could be flip-flop between New England and Miami. Obviously you never want to count Bill Belichick out, because, they started bad last year and then they ended up in the playoffs, with double-digit wins. But I think this is the year that if Miami's going to do something, it would be this year. They just went out and got Tyreek Hill. I think this is the make or break it year for Tua. Now that he has these weapons, it's like, okay, what are you going to do for us? So, I think if they game plan better to his, how he plays, I think they can be a pretty good team. And last year they won all those games in a row. They finished with a winning record at 9-8. So I think they pick up one more win, probably about 10-ish wins. And they actually have them sneaking in the playoffs as the 7th seed. So that's how I feel about the Dolphins right now. Now, they are under a new coaching staff and stuff like that, so there might be some growing pains. But I think this is the year, after having all those first-round picks the last few years, they need to show what they built. And if they are, it's going to be this year. So then, obviously, New England would be third. Mac Jones is a funny quarterback. He's kind of like an old school guy where he's just a pocket passer. He can't really run. So he's like a quarterback from like 2000 to 2010, like all those guys that just sat in the pocket and passed. Whereas, now you got to have a guy that can get out of the pocket. You have Kyler Murray, you have Josh Allen, you have Lamar Jackson, like all these guys that can move. And the Patriots don't really have that. So, I think that they'll still end with a winning record. They'll probably be 9-8 or 8-9. I think they'll finish right around 500. They lost some key pieces on their defense, but Bill Belichick can pull somebody off the street and make him a Pro Bowler, apparently. So
that's why I have New England in second in the division, because Bill Belichick will just Mac Jones isn't a starter in most other teams, so Bill Belichick will, scheme and game plan around him enough to but he's definitely a placeholder. I don't think we look back at New England in 10 years' time and Mac Jones is still their starter and they're doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless the league as a whole changes back to that pocket passer, I think he may be, run out his rookie contract. If he's good, they'll sign him, but they may, like you said, maybe in a decade. I don't think he's going to be like the next Brady who's with them for 20 years. He'll probably...
No, I don't think so. I think he does his rookie contract and then he becomes, another team's, second on their depth chart type reliable guy, can come in and not lose you a game, but he's not going to win you a division either.
Yeah, so, and then obviously last is the Jets. I think they'll do a little bit better than last year. I think they did a couple of good things this offseason. Obviously, Zach Wilson being hurt kind of hurts their chances, but they're another team where, they've been bad for a while, so it's also time to show what you have built. So if Zach Wilson comes back and he balls out, they should be pretty okay. I have them around 5 or 6 wins. I think this should be the last year of their rebuild, where next year they really need, going into the third year, Zach Wilson and a lot of these other young guys, they really need to show up. But I do have them finishing in 4th place as well. So we have some differing and some some same opinions, so at least that was good. So next up, what we're going to be going towards is the AFC South, which has Tennessee, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston in. So how do you see the South shaping up?
Yeah, I see. I think the Titans are going to regress somewhat. I think they've, the last couple of years, they've definitely been over expectations and probably overperforming to what they've got there. So I've got them in second. I've got the Colts in first. I think they're going to have a much better year. They're probably going to surprise a fair few people. And then, Texans is easily last. I don't even know what the Texans are doing, to be honest. I don't, last season I couldn't figure it, I don't know, they're certainly not trying to win, but they don't even look like they're tanking successfully. They are going to tank, but they're just really weird moves, so much money, tied up in not great players. They're just awful. And sorry, Texans fans.
When we were watching the draft, how it has everybody's needs, it just said every position. It didn't even specify. It's just every position they need to get better in, and that was over the offseason. So.
The only good thing you can say about Houston is that they really could have, going into that draft, is just take the best person available. You're not sitting there looking about, okay, look, our corners need a bit of depth there. You need fucking everything. So the best player that's available to you, you take them. So they're a long way off, and then the Jaguars in third there. I don't quite know what to make of Jacksonville.
Yeah, same here.
They're one of those teams. They could find a way to, steal last place off Houston, but by the same token, they could. I think they could also go very well. I think it's a real mixed bag there.
Yeah. So we actually how you picked it is how I picked it. I think Indianapolis finally getting a more competent quarterback in Matt Ryan, with their great, running back and the really good line. I feel like that offense can really spring forward, better than Carson Wentz last year.
Yep.
So, Jonathan Taylor, he might hit that 2,000 mark this year. Maybe not, because they'll probably be throwing with a lot more confidence this year. But I also I think the Colts steal away the division. I can still see, the Titans in it. It all depends on Tannehill, where if he starts to regress, there might be a situation where Malik Willis comes in and maybe he could be the spark plug to this offense. Where, like I said, in the modern NFL, you want a guy who can at least move. And Tannehill can run. We've seen that he can move out of the pocket, but Malik Willis would be a much bigger game changer than Tannehill. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee takes the division still. I think it's going to be, the Colts at 11 or 10 games and the Titans at 10 or 9 games. I think they're going to be right there till the end of it, but I think the Colts, after years of, trying to replace Andrew Luck, I think they finally got a quarterback that can actually help them win. So I have the Colts, Titans. Like you said, I have Jacksonville at third. It is kind of hard to, they obviously, they've drafted good players, but where they've fallen down is just their organization. They can't find coaches. They can't find, they keep grabbing coaches who are 10 years too old and behind the times, basically. So, they drafted Trevor Lawrence last year and they got Walker this year. I think that they've made good additions. I think they're better than they were last year, but I just don't see them in a playoff spot contention right now. Maybe if they actually put together what they have starting next year, they might be a wild card team and might pick up, where the Titans have sort of fallen back. But yeah, I have them probably around 5-ish wins. I think a little bit more than last year, but I don't see them being a good team this year. And then obviously, yeah, Houston, they're in the middle of a rebuild right now. So, they had those first round picks last year. They drafted for need, which obviously they had to draft for need, as we talked about. They didn't have anybody, so they sort of cleaned up the Deshaun Watson issue where they moved on from him. They got something back for him. And this is a team who's probably maybe 2-3 years away if they actually continue to build. I mean, they have to dig themselves out of the hole that Bill O'Brien put them in. So,
yep.
But yeah, so we both have Indy, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Houston. So we're both right there. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee still wins the division, but I think it's this year's when Indianapolis will take that crown.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the next division is going to be my division, which is the AFC North. So we have Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. So how do you see this division shaping out?
Yeah, so look, I think the Browns will come last. I've only got them winning 5 or 6 games. I've got no real. And I think probably most of my teams I have last. This is a team I've got no real feeling on. Like, I've got no real good vibe on them whatsoever. I've got your boys coming in third. I don't think they will do badly. I think your defense is going to be really good, which is kind of just feels like always Pittsburgh have great defense. Especially with Watt and that. But I did notice that number 1 on your quarterback depth chart is Mitch Trubisky. So that
he had a pretty good preseason. I don't know if you watched the game.
He always has a pretty good preseason.
Well, that's the thing is he has talent. I mean, he was a first round pick, but it all depends on if they. As of this point, I don't think they named him starter. I think he's number 1 on the depth chart online, but I don't know if they've actually named him the starting quarterback for Week 1 though.
Yeah, look, I will. I'm not. Being a Packers fan, I don't have much good to say about any Bears, even ex-Bears. But I do think that Matt Nagy was a huge part of the problem with Trubisky. So in saying that I don't think he'll do well. He could be a lot better in a new system away from Matt Nagy, and Who knows?
He would have, as of right now, he probably has better weapons in Pittsburgh now than he did in Chicago. So,
yeah, absolutely, I do agree with that. So it could, it has to be now for him. If he doesn't work in Pittsburgh, then it's over.
Right?
He's good enough talent to always make a roster, but in terms of the chance to be a starter, it's got to be now. And then I went back and forwards between the Bengals and the Ravens, but I do have the Ravens winning the division. I just think they will be better than last year. Lamar Jackson didn't play a full season. I think he missed 4 or 5 games from memory.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they're losing Peters and Humphrey, so their defense is definitely going to take a hit. But Lamar, if he has a full season on the field, you got good running backs like Dobbins and Edwards, like they're a really good tandem, and you've got a running back at quarterback as well. I think they'll take out the division.
Yeah, so I finally this time we do have almost a different division and how we think it's going to shape out. So the bottom 2 I have is the same. So I have Cleveland 4th and Pittsburgh in 3rd. I have the Browns. They're gonna they just spent all this capital on getting Deshaun Watson. who is now out for 11 games. So I think without him for 11 games, they're not going to fare too well. But I have them around 6 or 7 wins, with him for the final couple of... I think this, it would be surprising to me if they end these 11 games without Deshaun Watson as like 6-5 and 7-4, where he takes over a team right in the middle of the division hunt. I don't think that'll happen. But with him, if they are, and he comes back and they have a winning record, then that completely changes the division. But I don't foresee that. I think this is... I don't want to use the term throwaway season, but they really need to have a good game plan, without his talent at quarterback to sort of stay afloat until he gets back. I have the Steelers at 9-8. I can see them winning 10 games. I mean, they were able to win 9 games with Ben Roethlisberger's corpse at quarterback last year. So what the issue is last year is their line was just awful. So when you have a quarterback who can't move out of the pocket and you have a line that can't block, that's where they really struggled. So now you have Mitch Trubisky, you have Kenny Pickett, who can actually... I mean, Kenny Pickett's not a runner, but he can at least move. I can see them maybe winning 10 games, depending on how well the defense picks up. Now, they did upgrade in a lot of spots on the defense. They went out and got Myles Jack, which I think was a huge signing for them when he got cut by Jacksonville.
Absolutely.
To have him in the middle of that defense, because he's just a baller. He goes out there, especially in a 3-4 like the Steelers play, that inside linebacker, they make all the tackles. So if he comes in and does his job, that's an immediate upgrade over Joe Schobert. And
he's incredible. Like, out of like you always have like players on other teams,
right,
like that aren't your like he is just I love watching Myles Jack play. He is incredible. He's always one of the first guys I get in my Madden teams. That's how much I I like him.
Yeah, I was shocked when they cut him, and when Jacksonville cut him, I was like, it would be a perfect match with the Steelers, and I was very happy when they went and signed him. And then coming in third, I have the Ravens coming in third place. Obviously, they are a really good team this year. If Lamar Jackson wants to get paid, he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to go out there and be the Lamar Jackson from his MVP season. That obviously all comes down to, can he stay healthy? And I mean, they started 8-3 last year and lost the remaining 6 games and finished with a losing record. I mean, they showed how good of a team they are. They won 8 of their first 11 games, and then his injury and other injuries, they had no cornerbacks for a few games really, and they fell apart. So if they do stay healthy, they are probably a 10-12 win team. It's just right now, I think, with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Cincinnati's defense, which is pretty good, I still think they are the division winners this year. Now, I don't think they're going to run away with the division. I mean, a lot of people... This division last year everybody was only 2 games apart. So first, the Bengals were 10-7, and the last place team, the Ravens, were 8-9. This division is very close, talent-wise. So a couple of games in the division, the Steelers playing the Ravens, the Steelers playing the Bengals, could really shake this division up if they continue. I don't think any of these teams got worse from last year. Probably the only team that did was the Browns. But I do have the Bengals, at least for the next few seasons, this probably being their division until the other teams pick back up. Like, if Baltimore decides to move on from Lamar Jackson, then that's a huge deal for the coming seasons. But yeah, I have the Bengals winning, the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. The first 3 Bengals to Ravens, I have them probably within another 2 games of each other too. Like the Bengals at 11-12 wins, the Ravens 10-12, and the Steelers like 10-9, somewhere around there in terms of wins. So I think this is one of the more closer divisions in all of football right now.
I agree. And I think the only one closer than that is the next one we're gonna talk about. The West. This is a very, very close division. Especially the top 2. So I mean, I have I have the Chargers winning the division.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I went back and forth between them and the Chiefs. So I've got Chargers and the Chiefs 1 and 2. Could really could go either way. I just think the Chargers, if you had, gun to your head, you got to pick one. I'm picking those guys. I think they're just the more complete team. I think they're they've got a really good defense. Derwin James going there. I think that tidies out their defense really well. Herbert was great last year. I think he's going to be better. But in saying that, the Chiefs could easily win it. And going by, I'll wait for you to reveal yours, but going by your comment there, I'm assuming that you've got the Chiefs in first. I just think they, so much of what they do really well was that, speed of Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that they lose a bit there. Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback, and I think he will make much like it's funny. I feel like the Chiefs and the Packers are in fairly similar situations. Have lost kind of their top end talent to receive, but I think Mahomes and Rodgers are the same. Like they'll make work what they've got, and so I think Mahomes will make it work enough to still be up there. But I had to pick a second, so I picked them as the second. I've got the Denver Broncos in third. I think Russell Wilson is exactly what they need. A really big Russell Wilson fan. The Seahawks absolutely have wasted a majority of his career. But I think,
especially the last few seasons, after they went to that second Super Bowl, it's kind of been downhill for Russell and the franchise.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't understand what they were doing with him, and they didn't surround him with anywhere near enough talent. I mean, probably the same can be, and I know a lot of people say the same about my Packers, that they don't with Rodgers, but I just think the Broncos needed a great quarterback, and they went and got one. So I think they'll definitely be better. And they're just in such a tough division. I think putting Russell Wilson in there in most other divisions would have, Denver going close to the top. But he's not going to come close to the Chargers and Kansas City and the Raiders. I think with Adams going there, and I in forming this opinion, I have tried to put as much bias aside, but I just think they've got way overhyped with Adams going there. I mean, Devontae Adams is a fantastic receiver, no question at all. But he needs a fantastic quarterback throwing to him, and I am not on and never have been on the Derek Carr hype train. I don't think I think he's an adequate quarterback, but I think Adams regresses a heap, and I don't think that is fairly well shared. Like, having just done quite a few of my fantasy drafts, the position that Adams has gone from being, first round taken, sometimes depending on the draft you're in, taken 3 or 4 overall, to he's dropped right out of it. So I don't see the Raiders doing well, and I will be very happy if that is the case.
Right? No, you would have to be get those picks a little further up. So this is actually, we don't have any of the same teams in the same places, so we have a completely different pick on this thing. So, I as you said, I do have the Chiefs winning. I think their biggest contender is the Chargers in this division right now. But until they lose the division, I don't see them losing it. They seem like the Patriots of the mid to late, the late 2000s to mid 2010s, where they were winning divisions in a row. So they obviously did lose Tyreek Hill, which is a big blow. I mean, we saw in the playoff game against the Bills last year, he ran a slant, caught it, and then ran 60 yards for a touchdown, where not a lot of wide receivers can do that. But, they did pick up Juju Smith-Schuster, which I think people were down on. I think he's a really good receiver. I mean, especially when the Steelers were in a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, who do you need out there is Juju Smith-Schuster doing a slant, for 6 yards in the middle of the field, taking that hit. He's a big-bodied receiver. So I think that, they did lose Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that they're equivalent, but I think he got a really good weapon in Juju Smith-Schuster, and you should probably see Smith-Schuster more so his rookie year with Patrick Mahomes and his most recent years, especially being hurt. So I have the Chiefs probably around 10 to 12. Around 12 to 13 wins. I think that they also will win the bye in the first round, the first overall seed. That's why they're the top of the AFC right now. So until they fall, we'll continue to consider them that.
Yep.
Behind that, I have Los Angeles. It's kind of the same thing where you saw Hubert came out of the gate, slinging, in his rookie year, and has stayed like that. So they do have a good defense. They went out and they invested in the offensive line to protect him. He can also move, but his talents are more in his arm strength. So I think the Chargers, I have them at about 11-ish wins, so they could, go after the Chiefs for the division crown, but I have them in second place and being a wild card team right now. Then I do have the Raiders in third place. So I think the former chemistry between Adams and Carr is going to help a lot. I do think Derek Carr is a middle-of-the-road quarterback, but I think he plays pretty well in situations. So I have them about 9 or 10 wins and sneaking into the playoffs again as like the 6th or 7th seed. But I'm not totally down on them yet. I think that they should. They definitely started to play better after Gruden got ousted. So without him, they should continue to improve. I mean, they did just cut their first round pick from last year in Alex Leatherwood, which isn't a great look, but I think they're still going to be there. And then I have the Broncos in last place. Now, just like with the Chiefs and the Chargers flipping, I can see the Raiders and the Broncos flipping. I have them both around 9 or 10 wins. Obviously Russell Wilson is a really good, really great quarterback. And quarterback is what Denver was missing, but I just don't know how well they'll do this year. I think if they do make the playoffs, it will be as a 7th seed, 7th, 6th seed. I don't see them being like 12-5 or anything like that. So I have them around 9 or 10. So yeah, so we have completely different standings in the AFC West. It is going to be it's the number one division in the AFC right now. So it is going to be really fun to watch these teams battle out. I really think that this division, like the North, is going to be decided in about 2 or 3 games. I think all the teams there will have a pretty similar record, but overall, yeah, I have Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos.
Yeah, I do agree, and this division is so close that it'll really come down to injuries. Like, if any one of those teams gets a key injury, then it could be completely flipped. Like, for instance, if the Raiders or, Kansas City, lose Mahomes or Herbert, well, you could see Denver or Vegas, skipping up there. It's a tough division. Yeah,
and that's exactly right. Any injuries will completely shape this up. As they stand right now, like I said, I could see any of these, and I don't want to say that I'm down on Denver. I'm really not. It's just, I could see any of these teams winning this division. It wouldn't shock me if any of these 4 did. It's just right now how they're constructed and built. I have like the Raiders and Broncos near the bottom together, and the Chiefs and the Chargers together up top. I don't really think there's like a third place team here. It's kind of like the top of the division, the bottom of the division, but overall they're all very good. So, like you said, it will shape out to injuries really, or kickers, last second kicks and stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
All right. Wow. So, yeah. The AFC East, the AFC South, the AFC North, and the AFC West. So the AFC, I think, still looks like the more dominant of the conferences right now. But I really think none of these divisions, besides the Bills, really have any clear-cut number one right now. I can see any of these top two teams in each division winning this division. But I am excited to see how this shapes out.
Yeah, I think they're definitely the most exciting division. Whereas I think the NFC, which we'll talk about tomorrow, is a bit more predictable, than
yes.
So no, they'll be fun to watch.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. As Mike said, we're going to be reviewing the NFC, and that should be out a day after this video goes up. So I'm excited to talk about that. And then after that, we should have one or two more videos out before the season starts here on Thursday between the Bills and the Rams, which I'm excited. Finally have, it's like something to look forward to after work Thursday. Work's done, and then you can sort of sit around and eat nachos and stuff and watch some football for the first time in months. But thanks for joining me here, Mike.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, and we will see everybody later.
See you guys.